Welcome back. Take a look at this video just shot last week here for Sunday Morning Futures. This is what our nation's capital will look like now for several more months to come. A virtual police state, 7-foot wall of razor wire that stretches for miles. Lawmakers have said on this program that the current threat level does not merit this. So why did Capitol Police officials recommend to Congress this week that it stay up through September? Here's what former acting DNI Rick Grinnell told us on this program last Sunday.
I think, let's be clear, that many D.C. politicians, Nancy Pelosi and all her friends, love this. This is like living behind a gated community. They want to be away from the people anyway. So in many ways, they are loving the exclusivity of what's happening on Capitol Hill.
Joining me right now is Ohio Congressman Mike Turner. He sits on the House Intelligence and Armed Services Committees. Congressman, it's wonderful to have you this morning. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Appreciate it.
So you see serious intelligence. Is there anything that you could tell us about that you have seen that would warrant this kind of police state around the Capitol?
Well, Maria, as you know, I can't confirm or deny any information that's in intelligence briefings that members of Congress receive. But I can tell you what my personal opinion and my belief is. This is absolutely unnecessary. And the American public know it. When in 9/11, when the Capitol itself was a target, we didn't go to a wall and razor wire around the Capitol. This is absolutely being done by Nancy Pelosi. Remember, this is a woman who said that walls are immoral to protect the American public and our border. And now we have this wall all the way around the Capitol. I believe it's part of their narrative of fear. They want to project fear of the American public. And even, as you know, we have metal detectors now going to the House floor to vote. Fear of even their other members of Congress. This is absolutely the wrong signal to be sending to the American public. And certainly in a free democracy, we certainly shouldn't be afraid of the people who are the American public.
So you are going through metal detectors then to go vote. I had asked Senator Johnson that. He said no, but you actually are going through metal detectors every day when you have to vote.
Correct. They've been installed for the House floor. And again, you have statements by the Speaker and statements by other members of the Democratic leadership saying that there are members that are afraid of other Republican members. This is all part of perpetuating that culture of fear against the American public, against Republicans, and certainly against those who supported Donald Trump.
Well, I mean, look, we were told that this was going to cost $500 million just until mid-March. What is the cost of this kind of fencing and barbed wire and having all of those National Guard troops there?
Well, you know, I think the cost is certainly significant, but I think the cost really to the image of America. I mean, we're a free and open democracy. There is no threat to the Capitol that justifies this. There's no threat to certainly members of Congress themselves. And yet by walling off the Capitol, by walling off the symbol of democracy, they're indicating that we're a democracy in peril instead of just getting to work and serving the American public.
So tell me about this as part of the broader agenda. We've spoken this weekend about what you believe this is in terms of the broader issues that the Democrats want to push forth. The Biden agenda, what can you tell us about it from your standpoint?
Well, if you look at the Biden agenda, already he's not only overturning the Trump agenda, the Trump accomplishments that have given us one of the strongest economies we've ever had, but he's implemented policies that really are against 60% of the American public in public opinion. Opening the border, once again attacking our energy production from which we've got energy independence. His overtures to China and our concerns there as to how this administration is going to be soft on China, soft on Russia. And certainly their overtures to Iran, turning upside down our Middle East policy. All of these are issues that people are very concerned about. And I think as we look to their, appeasing their left and looking to implement a socialist agenda, I think the wall has even greater understanding because we see that they're separating themselves off from the American public.
Well, what you're saying is very disturbing, Congressman, because we are well aware of the major threats that this country faces, whether it be Iran undermining the Abraham Accords in the Middle East or China, where China has made it very clear that they want to overtake the United States as the #1 superpower. Tell me about that agenda that you and Senator Johnson say is quite radical.
Right. So with Iran, as we know, the Iran nuclear deal was terminally flawed. It had an expiration of some of the major provisions that related to the nuclear program. It allowed missile development, and it certainly allowed them to continue their malactions within the Middle East, their adventuresomeness. By this administration going back to that agreement, they're really giving Iran the out to be able to pursue becoming a nuclear state. And they turn on end what, as you mentioned, with the Abraham Accords, the administration was able to accomplish by really coalescing our allies in the Middle East. I mean, remember, Iran just attacked Saudi Arabia and its oil production. And now the administration is once again turning to Iran. They're our adversary. The American public isn't our adversary. Iran is our adversary. Same thing with China. By the administration turning back to China, where this administration knew that it was certainly our greatest vulnerability for jobs, our greatest vulnerability for our economy, and certainly to our other allies. This administration is turning its eye from our allies and to those who are adversaries.
Well, I don't understand why President Biden would be doing this if 60% of the people do not want this. What's your take on why? What's behind some of these decisions? For example, canceling the XL pipeline. And in a nanosecond, 11,000 jobs are lost. And you say 60% of the people are against this. Do you believe this will hurt them in 2022, that you and your colleagues can take back the majority in the House?
Absolutely. And I think it's part of that radical agenda. They're trying to get these things done early so that the American public just accept them, even though the American public reject them. I think we're also seeing that the American public are understanding that China is a problem. You're beginning to see those administration nominees that have ties to China having difficulty. I think in 2022, we'll see candidates that have ties to China having difficulty. I think the American public are going to reject a path that puts American jobs at risk. The Keystone Pipeline is an excellent example of just a lack of caring for those people who need to put food on the table, those people who need to earn a living. And it's certainly going to be part of the 2022 campaign, and I think we'll be winning the House back.
Well, look, we've also got to talk about some of the domestic issues, like schools are still closed, and yet the border is wide open. The immigration bill this weekend is our focus now. But, Congressman, it is great to see you today. Thank you so much for weighing in on all of this.
Good to see you.
Congressman Mike Turner joining us this morning.